Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Virginie, welcome to Consulting Leaders. Happy to have you.
Thank you, Guillaume. Thank you so much. Very happy to be here as well.
It is my pleasure. Let's jump straight into it. You've built a 20-year career in luxury and beauty before launching WeCurate. So what took you away from the fantastic world and one of the very rare French-dominated world of luxury and beauty to consulting?
Well, I've always had a very big attraction for luxury goods, probably as a Frenchie, but also because I was in America and the French was always like a synonym, you know, the Parisian girl with beautiful brands and outfits, etc. So I always had a thing for it, as we say. And then my career just started in that and I pursued it. And at the time in business school, they always said, you know, it's always great if you do luxury to stick to it for a while. It stuck with me for a while, for 20 years. And funny enough, I always had another thing for beauty. So the two linked to each other. One day, I was actually reached out by Christian-Level Beauté, which was the most expensive beauty brand on the market at the time before LV. Today, they have competition. At the time, they didn't really. And I had just launched my consulting company. It wasn't called WeCurate, but it was the backstage of it. And they said, listen, we need you to come, but exclusively. So then I said, okay, you don't say no to Louboutin, do you? And from there on, slowly but surely, I understood that what I was about to create with the consulting mission I had just ventured was exactly the right path. I'll explain myself. Christian-Level Beauté was a very premium brand, and it was very difficult for them to keep on the relationship outside Christian-Level Beauté. Everybody inside was absolutely spot on, very premium, etc. But the distributors didn't continue that relationship. They didn't convey it up to DTC, to the consumer. So they told me to come inside, take over distributor's job, revamp, rebuild the team the way they wanted it. And I was like, interesting. And an agent is too small. A distributor is too big. And there we are. WeCurate was curated. So I did my 3 years over there, passed on to Poach, who bought over, took a large part of shares of Christian-Level Beauté. And that was it. And then after Louboutin, I wasn't exclusive anymore. And then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. brands.
I love this.
It wasn't, I wanted to start it, and then, you know, it just happened.
It's the classic, hey, I'm gonna do my own thing, and then either your former employee is telling you, hey, okay, but can you consult for us? Or the situation that happens to you, which is an opportunity that you can just not say no to, but that sets the ground for the consulting practice afterwards. Quick question, because that's not always that we get to talk about luxury and distribution on this show. Why do you think the distributors couldn't live by the brand that Christian-Level Beauté was, setting the tone for?
They had too many brands. So a distributor to live needs to do volume. And it was their definition, and always. And you do have distributors for amazing mass marketing brands, for niche brands, but not for luxury brands. And usually they don't really specialize in a specific type of brand. They specialize in a channel. Let me explain. They usually specialize in distribution for pharmacies or distribution for department stores. But a luxury brand goes very niche, goes very selective, but certainly doesn't go with a channel. They go with a level, which is very different. It's another different type of channel. So the DNA is extremely important. And what exactly was the issue that they were facing is that the distributor didn't convey that DNA up until the end of consumer, and actually not even until the end of the retailer. So I remastered those relationships. And within just those two little fiercey mighty countries of UK and Ireland, we did 52% of the global turnover of beauty. So when you do master your relationships and when you do it well, then you're able to achieve growth. But the distribution was a bit diluting our DNA and was losing the momentum, the very precise core of Louboutin, which was so unique, the red soul, the red spirit.
That does make a lot of sense. What specific problem would you say you solved?
Could you repeat? Sorry, I had a little moment out.
Of course, no worries. What specific problem would you say you focus on now and that you help your clients solve with WeCurate?
We have two type of clients. We have clients who want to launch abroad, and we have clients who want to relaunch abroad. So either very young companies about to launch a product or who have just launched their brands in a local market and want to go abroad. So we specialize in globalization, internationalization. We're based in the UK, and we started taking any type of countries from Eastern, like Europe, Far East, but also Asia, Australia, landing them in the UK. And then hub is UK, and then we jump to the US. UK is like a mini US, and vice versa. We now have a lot of American clients trying to come to Europe, hubbing, spotting through the UK, and then heading to Europe because it's a natural landing destination before going to Europe with all those different countries and languages. We help them understand the prerequisites, the pillars, how to launch and get a fast access to market. 90% of the time, a brand comes to us and say, oh, we want to go abroad. I'm like, fabulous. Are you ready for it? They look at me and they're like, am I ready? Well, I want to go there. But there's a very big difference between wanting to go somewhere and being ready. So usually the first thing we help them with is getting ready to go.
So that's fascinating. And I can only imagine that going from Europe, let's take the example of France, to the US is a whole different ballgame than going from the US to France. Like, I know I'm doing this with my company. You go to the US market, unless you have something that is very local, which might be the case of the companies that you help, but I'm assuming that a lot of it is happening online as well, though the experience of a shop is unique, and that's where you also get some business. But like, that's two complete different problems, right? Is it because, did you end up having this second offer because the demand was there from the US clients that you were serving? Or like, how did it happen?
How did what happen? What part?
So you started by helping companies from Eastern, so Europe, Asia, Australia, to launch in the UK, the small market, and then the US.
I'll
For
explain.
me,
I understand. So
right,
you're absolutely right. It's three different cultures, right? Very different ones.
right,
So I'm a very multicultural person. I've been raised British, but I
okay,
was born in France, and then I lived 19 years in the US and 6 years in Hong Kong. So
nice.
multiculturalism is where I thrive, what I love, and I wanted to offer that to brands and people I work with and retailers. We started in the UK because that's where I was during Brexit, and that was where I was after Louboutin. And people ask me, there's going to be a hard Brexit or a soft Brexit? And I'm like, I don't know, probably soft. Bang, it was hard. I've helped over 50 companies cross the channel, that little river, one by one, step by step, understanding the pillars. So first we did Europe to UK. Then they were quite happy. They said, well, British companies started saying, could you take me to Europe? That was exactly the same challenge. Brexit, custom, VAT duties, those type of issues, shipments, you name it. So there was a reciprocity between EU and UK that was linked, different warehouses, same pillars. Then COVID came. Oh my God, we were not ready for that. COVID came, it hit. We had a fabulous momentum in the UK, but we were separated sort of from anywhere else in the world, right? With Europe and UK. And then COVID finally ended, and I was like, oh my God, I need to go back to the US. I always want to travel. I always wanted to be back. And so I had done 19 years in the US, 9 years in the UK. I was like, I got to be back to the US. And being back to the US, seeing how much they had struggled, how much retail changed over COVID, how much the industry shifted, the beauty, the wellness, the consumer, everything. I was like, okay, I got to do something about it. And the UK was starting to go down, and the world is a turny table. So UK had its momentum, then Europe picked up, and then back to UK, but then it was down again. And the US seemed like a natural path to be like a bigger UK for those who had succeeded in the UK. Let me take you one step further. So then I opened WeCurate Inc. in the US, based in New York, with my partners. It was, I think, the right time. It wasn't meant, it all happened little by little, step by step. First UK, then Europe, back to the UK, then the US, growing, scaling, shifting, adapting, going with the flow of the market. And today, the US is a little bit down after 2 fabulous years, but the UK, and the UK has been thriving for the past year like we never expected it to catch up. So I would say natural path, but I've always done global development in my previous jobs, like for bigger companies, as you know. And I always thought that globalization was absolutely the way to go through crises and shifts. And no matter if they are Brexit or COVID or any other type of financial crisis or political one that we're going through at the moment, having different territories, the fact that we have our 3 different islands, I think is what is keeping us on ground and aware. So I would say it does help, actually. Some people may think, "Oh, it must be difficult. It's very different," like you told me and like you asked me. Yes and no. If you take it with the flow, I didn't mean to become international at first. I was at core, but we did it little by little, step by step. So it seemed like a very natural path to follow.
That 100% makes sense. And I like how you're hedging against your own bets, because once one economy is down, they will try to sell it to another economy that is up, and you're right into the middle, helping them facilitate that. Who's the typical company that you help right now, Virginie?
It's quite a fair range. It's a very good question. There are 2 axes. Either they focus on luxury, right? Because I can't get away from it. Or they focus on very natural, premium, and sustainable goods.
Okay.
There used to be times where you couldn't have both. You were either very luxurious and very high end, or you were natural and, like very simple brand, natural looking. Now you have exceptional, sustainable wellness and beauty companies specializing in premium natural goods. That is my sweet spot. Now, in terms of turnover, I'm very flexible. They could be babies, still not born, unborn, and they need my help to launch, and not just launch on the market, but like we said, launch globally, and want to have pre-launch advice. So they could be doing even 0. They could be making 1 million. They could be making 50 million, or up to over to $100 million. It doesn't, the size of the company doesn't matter. It's more the mission, where they want to head at, why and how. That it's basically more. And while we were focusing just on beauty, we shifted to wellness and a bit of sports, and food supplements is a big part of our business as well. So the spectrum of brands that we have is more broad than when we started, which was the classic cosmetic, makeup, I would say, yeah, definitely cosmetic, makeup. Now we have infusions brands. We have chocolate infused with collagen. It's fabulous. We have sort of byproducts.
Okay. This is a world that I'm completely discovering. But that's interesting. So I think
all shapes, it's not just a cream that you put on in the morning. It's also ingestibles. It's also infusions, etc., drops, food supplements, etc.
Yeah. So we have a client who is in the pharmaceutical space, and they do a heavy push on this. So I'm discovering every day like product that you would have never thought were possible, like made of. So there is a product that is like 41 essential oils. I don't even know how to say this in English, but I think that's essential oils. And
Correct.
it's helping you do XYZ. I mean, if I say too much, that reveals the brand, but very, very interesting. So a question that comes to mind, Virginie, when we talk about the business of consulting, right? Ideally, when you ask a consultant, like, hey, if I was to make a room of 100 people so that you can talk to them and potentially work with them, who would you like those people to be? Which is what happens at conferences typically. So when I look at your company, you're like servicing $0 to $100 million plus per year. You're helping luxury brands, but also very natural and very high-end products. You're helping them go from Europe, Asia, Australia to the UK, then the US, but also US to the UK, then Europe. Who is your decision maker? Who is it that you're trying to get in a room with?
That's a very good question. There are two ways, as always, because remember, I have the brand on the side and then
Yeah.
retailers on the other side. My aim is to land you in a country, but when we say that, it's to land you at the right match, the right retailers. So I do see our mission to we're a matchmaker, and very much like a matrimonial agency. People need to like each other, and there needs to be a core DNA. So your brand with a certain DNA, you're going to a country, doesn't matter where, and we need to find the right partner for you. The way to do that, the easiest way I've identified, and I've been very lucky to be brought to that very early on stages. I was a director at age 30 in the US, which I would never have been in Europe, never. I was directing 40 people, and it means that when you're a director in the US, it doesn't matter you're 30, you meet with directors, you meet with CEOs. I was already meeting with very high ranked people at Bergdorf, Saks, Neiman Marcus, age 30. Same when I arrived in the UK, I was in my very early 30s and I was directly talking to general managers. We call them GMs, general merchandisers, DMMs, directors of merchandising. Those people have a vision. So on the retailer side, people who have a vision, who can make decisions, that's very important not to lose time. If you talk to a buyer, an assistant buyer, unfortunately, as skilled as they are, they're not decision makers. So you might lose time. Time is money when you're a consulting agency like mine. On the other side with brands, same thing. I'm very lucky to be working with emerging brands where CEOs, founders, directors are very approachable. This helps with making faster decisions. This helps with aligning on strategy. Again, this gain of time, the fact that you're very direct on relationship on the side of the brand, on the side of the retailer, connection is established much more easily. You see, if I had different levels within my company, if I had different levels within a brand connector and with the retailer, it would be much more difficult and a lengthier job. So the people I look for, to answer your question in a nutshell, are decision makers, strategic people who have the vision and the ability to be agile and flexible and understand how to move on.
So the people that everybody wants to get a hold of, which makes sense. Those are the ones that decide to eventually buy stuff or not buy stuff. So I like the breakdown, Virginie, because again, it does make a lot of sense. I like the matchmaking analogy because it does make a lot of sense. Actually, curious, how many people just go like, no, we don't want to find a retailer or we don't want to find someone who will help us sell there. We want to sell ourselves, either via direct D2C, right? So eventually via a website and using local delivery services, or just by like, we're going to set up one shop and then a second shop and then a third shop and then a fourth shop, whatever it ends up being. What's that percent? I mean, percentage, I don't know if that's the term, but do you have cases like this?
We do. We have plenty of them.
Interesting.
Yeah, we do. There isn't, it's actually, if I had to give a percentage, I would say it's a growing one.
Okay.
because retailers cost so much, because
Right.
of margins. So, but it's not for everyone to have their own stores, and
Mhm.
often to have a website, although it sounds fabulous because you're keeping margin, right? Besides 20% of
Supposedly.
probably that you're going to give and 5% distribution cost. I'm giving people a bit of hint over here. Versus retailers, the thing is there is a lot of strategy. So it doesn't matter to me which strategy they go for. You just have to really stick to it. The percentage of our clients requesting that, it's probably just 15%, but it's a growing one. It used to be very little, like 5, but I can see it's a growing one. It's not for everyone because it's a lot more effort on their side than on
Mhm.
my side to
Yeah.
go store wise and website wise. It's a lot more effort on their side to have the right teams in terms of SEO recruitment, etc. But we do
Yeah.
love it. I like it. I think at the moment it's a very, very strong way and safe way to go if
Mhm.
you have the backbone for it.
Again, that does make sense. So back to your decision makers. What has worked for you to get the attention of those people? The reason I think this question is going to be particularly important for you and the people listening to us is that you're not the only one, right? Who has a consulting practice, who actually has a large spectrum of who could make a decision to work with them. But then the question becomes when you need to figure out your positioning, your messaging, your channel, right? You need to bear in mind that, yeah, I'm fine getting in touch with the CEO of a small to medium business. I'm fine getting into a room with a director of a $50 million company. I'm fine with getting in touch with the founder of, and so on and so forth. So, what marketing channels do you use to get the right attention of the right people?
Um, I would say there is the basics. For us, it's always been LinkedIn. LinkedIn, my network, has been something that I didn't think of at first. How I didn't know it was going to be so strong and so efficient. LinkedIn for us is a lot, not everything, but a lot. So being visible, being able to share news, being able to comment, being seen and heard of on LinkedIn the right way, not too much. It's not Instagram, it's not Facebook, it's not TikTok. I don't show personal videos on LinkedIn. You have to be very professional, and we try to be. And we answer everyone who contacts us on LinkedIn, and we give insights as well. We share valuable information. So for me, definitely LinkedIn.
Okay.
X, not as much. My partner for finance and does do X a little bit, but otherwise mainly LinkedIn. Then trade shows. Trade shows are very important, and conferences. We do give out conferences throughout Europe with different retailers. Like we've been conferencing at Douglas, for example. We've been conferences for other retailers that I can't name, and brands as well. They're a very good way to show your deep knowledge of a market or a subject. And then trade shows, because at a trade show, the first time you're just experiencing, the second time you're meeting again, the third time, oh, you're here this year again. What did you do? What did you achieve? Okay, let's start talking. So the fact recurrence is very important. People have a lot of you gain confidence, you
Yeah.
gain trust and loyalty as well. So
Mhm.
LinkedIn is a way to be seen and heard of. Trade shows are a way to meet and greet and exchange. And then conferences and maybe podcasts today are a very good way to be spontaneous and answer specific questions um, to anyone. So a little bit of all of it is very helpful.
So the way I understand this is you would have kind of a top to bottom of funnel strategy, and you just break it down here. But I want to double down on it because it's just so good. So something that will get you visible throughout the whole year. LinkedIn in your case. I'm interested into getting to understand a bit more like how you do LinkedIn to stay visible to the relevant people whilst remaining professional, which I guess in your industry is going to be particularly important.
Yes.
Then middle of funnel, trade shows, you discuss, conferences, you have those spontaneous conversations that's, hey, you've been here for like a while now. let's have a conversation. And now you enter into the sales motion aspect of things. So I really like how this funnel is designed to get visible, start a discussion, follow up with a sales conversation.
And it's always about being human, because funny enough, LinkedIn is digital, right? So I wouldn't call it's contactless. A trade show, a conference, you speak a little, but you do get to meet a lot of the retailers, but sometimes not so much the clients or future clients, but they do see you in real. It seems very funny, and they just don't see you in the US, but then you go to Cosmoprof Vegas, and then you go to TFW in Cannes, and then you go to London for a trade show with business friends, or in New York, and they're like, oh, I've seen you here and there, and it's like, oh, you're everywhere. I'm not everywhere. I also pick and choose where I should be, but it's strategically picked. But the human touch and it's very nice. It completes each other, like you said. But it does stay human these days. It cannot be all digital. To me, I don't think so, because people always have specific questions they don't want you to write about. They want you to talk about. They want to be able to exchange with you, because they always think that their question is different or their problem is different than the other one's problem, etc.
Okay, this is, again, too good. So first of all, and I'm only going to say this because you mentioned it, but for that very thing that you mentioned here, podcast is absolutely perfect. So you're 100% right. To the aspect of being in person, so I wasn't strong on that. I could understand why people would say this, but I was like, nah, that's probably not as true as it was. And I think you can develop a very thriving business being 100% online, don't get me wrong. But I've just spent 3 months in the US, was building remotely for 2.5 years, and I get it now. I get it. Having a strong presence online, having a good way to connect with people online is great, and is actually probably critical in today's business. But once you want to take a certain next step, being in person just changes the game completely. I think in a day and age where anybody can claim anything on internet, authenticity, trust are more key than ever. And I know that's what every marketer said ever for the last 20 years. But anybody can be a LinkedIn expert with ChatGPT now, and you can literally see it. Being in person, showing up, being human, makes a huge difference. Agreed. So yeah, really, really important point here. So tell us a bit more about
AI is absolutely something that is scary. You see people becoming so good at LinkedIn communication.
Right.
I'm going to talk about competitors, but don't get me started. You are absolutely right. You can pull up the best audits, the best studies ever with AI, but try to do that in front of Unilever, in front of 400 people. Good luck to you. When they're going to ask questions, are you going to type on your computer? Are you going to have an earbud telling you what kind of answer you should be whispering?
Business idea. That could work, Virginie. That could work.
But the truth is, the business is still human, thankfully. Yeah. And we also see the limits of AI. We see how much it's been incredible to the industry, to LinkedIn, to everything. But we still need people.
Amen. Tell us a bit more about your sales motion. You get the right attention of the right people between LinkedIn, trade shows, conferences, your network, X for your partner in finance, for finance. How do you move that into a sales conversation that ends up by being like, yeah, SOW, letter of engagement, Virginie, we walk and roll? How do you make this happen?
We're talking about the client side, right? The brand side, or the retailer, both.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, I'm in the middle, remember.
So who's paying you? Is it both, which would be smart?
Okay, so I'll answer very diplomatically. Who's paying me? So my clients, the brands, the groups.
Oh, really?
But we do curate. So our name WeCurate is we build a curation of brands for retailers, and we do have retail partners. And of course, if they list our brands, it's a very nice way to reward us for presenting them the right brands. We're not paid by retailers. We are very grateful that they are trusting us, our curation brands year on year, no matter whether it's in fragrance, cosmetic, makeup, wellness category. And who pays me are my clients, the brands, the group of brands who are paying for our services to introduce us to the buyer. And you're going to have to repeat the question because I've lost. How do I get, what was it again? Tell me again.
So what does the sales motion look like? What I'm trying to understand is,
Oh, yeah.
B2B coaching and consulting sales cycles are usually long. And I think the audience, that's a point that the audience likes a lot, and me too, because I love sales motion, is how do you move the needle? How do you take an initial conversation from someone who is considering, starting an exportation business in the US as a French, very natural and very high-end product? How do you go from, hey, yeah, that's a good idea, let's discuss it, to, hey, I'm actually helping you right now strategize and implement? Does it take years? Does it take months? Do you have like a gazillion calls to make this happen? Do you share case studies? Do you have like calls? Do you meet in person? That's kind of the things that I'm a bit interested into. Like, what does the sales motion look like?
Okay. I guess everybody has a different model. Okay.
For sure.
But I'll tell you what our model is like. So first, I like to identify the need of the client. So the first time we meet, I will listen. What is it? Why are you coming to me? It is for sure not. At first, we used to have people who could speak for hours, and it was like, where are you heading at? So
Yeah.
I do prep before we meet with someone. I ask them a few questions. No problem. Let's speak. So first interview is always a 30-minute one. Okay, let me identify why you'd like to speak with us. May I help you? Is it okay? Because if you're going to spend an hour with them and after an hour you're like, oh, I can't help you with that, bummer. So first you frame it.
Mhm.
What is your need? Where would you like to go? Do you have the needs to go to the UK, the US, or Europe? Are you ready? Yes, no. When would you like to go there? So asking a few questions down the funnel again. Thank you for coming to us. What are your needs? Where would you like to go and when? That will tell me about the next meeting. If it's in a year, let's speak in 9 months from now. If it's in a month, let's speak tomorrow or next week. So I frame. Second time around, usually we speak a little longer because there's an established need. So we take it to step number 2. Let's see what I can do for that need. How can I answer it? What kind of budget do you have or restrictions? You don't have budget restrictions? Fabulous. Let me give you step 1, 2, 3, fast access to market. Let's study the market, etc. We have a phased approach. Usually people those days do not have an open budget. Everybody is budget conscious. So we offer solutions that allow you to get to know us, our skills, our network, a one-off, an entry market audit, an entry market assessment, a projected P&L. I have your need. I answer your need with a one-off solution. Then trust is established. Let's go to step number 2. We've done the audit. We're ready to go. We know how to go. We're aligned. Let's go to market. And we have a 12-month contract together because it does take 12 months to go abroad. I don't know who can do it without a 12-month, rollout. Now, how many interviews? I would say 2 to 3.
Okay.
3, 1, we meet, we get to know each other. 2, there is a need. I answer and I show that I can help with the need. 3, what did you decide on? When do we start?
Cool.
And it shouldn't take much longer because if it's taking longer than that, it means it's not for now. And each of us would take our path, and that's fine. I'm very happy I met this brand, and I know it's for later. It was just not for now. And after 3 times, if they said yes, you know that you clicked with them, that you're aligned with them, that you're going to be able to move forward with them.
Yeah.
So it's very much the 1, 2, 3.
No, I like it a lot, and that makes sense. How do you reactivate someone who told you, yes, let's do this in a year? Like staying in touch with someone or staying top of mind for them for 9 months in a row, so that when you have the touch points, they already have, the trust, authority, considering you as an SME already. Is it through content that you do that on LinkedIn? Like, how do you make sure that when someone tells you, oh yeah, I'm not looking to do anything before, like we are in December 2025, before January 2027, how will you reactivate with me in a way that will be compelling and get me to be like, okay, I said this, now we're gonna deliver on that?
Well, usually if we reactivate with them is because we know there is a market need for a brand like that. So I will tell them there's an opportunity. Would you like me to activate it? Would you be
That is
willing
good.
to speak again about it? I will not chase a brand that I know would not be easily placed or succeed on the market. There's no point, not for them, not for me.
Mm-hmm.
But so I would come with them an opportunity, like I've met with the buyers again, or I've heard about their 2026 strategy. Should
Mm-hmm.
we renew conversation? Is it a good time? When would be a good time, etc. So that's the open door. Second, we do offer one-off opportunities during the year, right, at trade shows, and every year we do a different one. So in 2025, we attended Miami Sea Trade Show for cruises. Cruises was completely new to us. But this year, we've put an enormous accent on TR, travel retail, and cruises. Whereas before, I used to focus on traditional retail, department stores, apothecaries, pharmacies,
Mm-hmm.
etc. This gave me an opportunity for a lot of other brands that I was like, okay, maybe it is for them. Traditional retail wasn't for them. So opportunity base. And then the trade shows. They're
Yeah.
this yearly TFWA moment in Cannes where you invite people for the soirée and you want to have a little drink and let's catch up. What's been going on with you guys? So broader, not as
Mm-hmm.
opportunistic as the other ones, but and 50% of the time we get a new client from meeting them again, having given them like the time to think, to see what we did for others, to confirm what we had said about other peers, for example, or competitors of them.
And you have the retail side of the market as well. So you can definitely have a great incentive for people to get back to it because they're like, hey, I'm working with people who work with people just like you. And, there is a need for a product like yours here, which is back to the thing of like not only working both ways of like importing, exporting, but also having that matchmaker's role is a very smart move. Virginie, what's your challenge right now? What is the thing that you're working on and that you know that if you unlock, you're gonna get to the next level of your business? What's that one thing for you?
Mm, there are two things at the moment I can think of. The first one is when you've had clients for a while and you see they're heading in the wrong direction and you've repeated yourself quite a few times. So
Mhm.
that's definitely something I love challenges, and so I think it's very important to be able to be agile and to try to show them that they're not trying to improve the way that people should listen to you. They're not hearing you yet. They're sort of stuck. So that's one thing where it's a challenge, and I think that it's often linked to number two, which is the budget. So one is to be listened to about this is not working, we should do it another way. And often it's linked to a budget. So again, understanding the reasons behind, the need behind. So I think focus should be on listening. My people talk everywhere, TikTok, LinkedIn. Listen, listen to a buyer, listen to a retailer, look at their communications, look at their brands, look who they're following. I'm giving you a hint as well. Which brands are they following? Which
Mhm.
influencers are they following? And you'll get some very strong insights on how to be visible by this retailer, how to get it.
Yeah.
Not everyone is ready or willing to listen. I think that's probably the biggest challenge at the moment. But maybe, and I like to always bounce back. That's my very American way of looking at it. Is that, um, on the other hand, to those who can listen, it's
Mhm.
not working here. You're not doing anything wrong. But I think it would be easier at the moment in the UK or in Europe. To those who can listen to other solutions, then you can have a bounce back. So um, the fact that we have different locations could be very helpful, for example, to um, challenge any sort of budget. It's less expensive to launch in the UK than in the US, for example.
Interesting.
offering solutions, being agile. There's
This
no
is how
magic solution,
No, 100%. And I mean, it's back to one of the core things of business, right? You need to figure it out. That's why we get rewarded so much when we crack it. It's very high risk, but it's also very high reward. Market is constantly changing. You need to change stuff. And if you figure it out, you get rewarded for it. Virginie, I think that was an absolute masterclass. So thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders. If people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
They should go to WeCurate.com. So it's 3w-we-curate.com. And they can send us a message. They can also find us on LinkedIn, and we'd be very happy to help them and answer questions for the sake of Guillaume, who hosted us today.
We'll put all the links in the description. I can say one thing for sure, Virginie, is that you've gained at least one connection on LinkedIn from this interview. Me. We are now connected. Thank you so much for coming.
Very happy about it. Thank you, Guillaume.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders Podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.